Hello everyone. First of all, welcome. Hi. This is, I guess, not the first video I'm making, but the first review. Yeah, hello. My name is Aiden. If you're watching this video right when I release it, you're probably watching it by finding it on my Instagram, because I've been doing Instagram at Aiden Burnell about fountain pens and calligraphy and stuff like that for about 3 years. And I've been in the fountain pen hobby for about 4 or 5. I am sort of dipping my toe into this reviewing sphere for a couple of reasons. First, I'm passionate about fountain pens, and I thought it would be cool to do reviews. But also just because I sort of wanted to offer my own insight on a couple of different aspects that I feel don't get as much attention or love in regular fountain pen reviews, which is, first of all, like my specific use case. I'm in college right now, so I use pens every day, taking notes like that and stuff for class, which I feel is a very common use case for fountain pens, but not as well represented in reviews. So I thought that would be a sort of valuable voice that I could add. A different aspect of fountain pens that I like is I really enjoy vintage fountain pens, and they do get some love, but in terms of reviews, but I feel like they're vintage pens in general are a little inaccessible for people just first getting into the hobby, and I would like to open that up a bit for some people. And then finally, just I want to be biased in my reviews. Pretty much all reviews out there are really great, but in my opinion, they kind of just present you with the facts and then allow you to make your own opinion, which is good. But I would also like to offer my opinion as well, and scream it at anyone who will listen to me. But yeah, use sort of those facts to tell you my own opinions about things, and hopefully from that you can maybe even make a more informed decision than make. So yeah, I guess we can just jump right into it and get started reviewing this pen. So Aurora is an Italian fountain pen company based in Turin, Italy, and they were founded in 1919. So they had their 100th anniversary a couple years ago. They make 2 main models, and this is one of them. They make the 88 and the Optima, which are pretty much the same pen, except that the Optima has flat ends and the 88 has rounded ends. So this is, as you can probably tell by the title, the Aurora Optima Viola. It's a limited edition, well, not numbered limited edition, but they made it just last year, and I believe they've stopped making it now. It's the same color and trim as the Aurora Optima Nebulosa, which was released a few years back, which was a limited edition. And it was so popular, I guess they decided to do it again. And yeah, it's got the normal fixings of an Aurora Optima. It has purple oroloid, which is their own version of celluloid. It has rose gold trim, and it has anything when you're looking at like the next level sort of stuff for fountain pens. The next level is like fancy material, which the Optima has, piston filler, which the Optima is, and a gold nib and ebonite feed, which the Optima has both of, which is, I think, pretty great. So the Optima is not a large pen, and that might be a detractor to some, but posted it's a pretty good length, and unposted a little smaller than an average sized pen. It's also got an imprint. I don't know if you can see it. There we go. Hopefully you should be able to see that now. It says Fabbrica Italiana di Penne a Serbatoio. Anyways, it's a cool imprint. It's not too pervasive. It's just a nice little accent. Okay, but now we have to talk about some of these sort of unique features of an Aurora, and one of them is the nib. It Aurora's nibs are quite famous for being a little more feedbacky than normal, and I really like that. That's why I like Auroras. I think they let you know that you're writing. It's a little sharper than pencil-like feedback. Honestly, it's for the same reason that I like paper like Tomei River paper or bank paper that isn't as aggressively coated as paper like Rhodia, where it's a much more tactile feeling than just the buttery, silky smooth writing experience. But I do have to say the feedback, while it is there, is a pleasant feedback. It's not annoying. It doesn't feel like something's wrong. It just feels like you're writing with something that is actually writing. I would say it's probably about a 4 or 5 on a smoothness scale out of 10. I don't know if that does anything for you, but it's not feedbacky in a way that you feel as if something's wrong. It's like a pleasant texture, I would describe it as. And then the other thing that's unique to Aurora's is the piston filling system. Not because Aurora is the only company that does piston fillers, but Aurora has their own special piston head on their piston filling pens that captures ink in the side and in the center. You can see that there's that little black bit in the middle, because you can see through most of the ink window except the part that's in the middle. And the reason that is because that little black bit right there is the feed. It actually extends into the ink chamber, and the piston head like attaches to the end of the feed and gives a few more drops of ink, which is worth about like a page more of writing. So when you initially run dry, then you just turn the piston all the way up so that the piston head reaches the feed, and it inserts a little bit more ink before you need to refill. I don't mind it. It's fine. There's an ink window. The reason why they advertise it is so you know when to refill, because, oh, it's out. Wait, no, it's not out. I have a little more page, so now I know I need to refill, but there's an ink window. You can just look. So I don't really think it adds anything extra. It is kind of difficult to clean out, that's the one thing. But the Aiden Burnell top tip is the nib unit unscrews so you can clean it out directly. And what you do to clean it out, I've developed a very scientific method, is you fill the barrel with water, extend it almost all the way until there's just a little tiny bit of air gap, and in the sink, very carefully, shake it extraordinarily vigorously, but carefully, but vigorously, to get those last little few drops of water. You gotta develop that little flick technique. If you have one, you'll get it down, I promise. But those are the sort of things that are unique to an Aurora. So I would say, from the pen itself, the size is small, but not in a bad way. It's fine, and it's good for everyday writing. It's not too unwieldy. The other features of the pen, the piston filling system, the part that's unique to Aurora, I don't think gives them any sort of advantage, but piston fillers are still cool. The gold nib, again, it's feedbacky. I like that a lot. It gives a pleasant writing experience, but it's also a gold nib, which is cool. And then the ebonite feed does make sure that the flow is really nice. And then, of course, the matters relating to the pen that have less to do with the writing experience is the looks. I like the Aurora a lot in that department because I just think it's very elegant. It's traditional, but not in an outdated way. The Greek key in the cap band design, I think, is a very unique and interesting design. It's also sort of on Omas pens, but it looks great there too. And I think it adds a little bit of extra charm to the trim on this pen, which isn't too overbearing. Also, just the material, it's quite beautiful, I would say. And then the rose gold trim is pretty nice as well. Yeah, the pen looks great, it works well, and it's got all those fancy fountain pen offerings that make fountain pens as cool to use as they are. So I would say Optimas in general, and especially this one because it looks cool, are a fantastic choice for your first high-end fountain pen. Ooh, also, one last thing before we start the writing sample. The engineering and design that goes into this pen is truly impressive, because that's where the cap screws on, and that's how far up the nib reaches into the cap. There is about a millimeter or two of space between the top of the cap and where the nib goes. So even though this pen is much shorter than almost any other pen you'll see in the writing sample capped, it's a normal sized pen uncapped, which I think is pretty awesome. Okay, and now for the size comparison. Here we have an Aurora Optima Viola. It's next to a Conklin Duraflex Elements Water, an Esterbrook J, and a Narwhal Yellow Tang. So you can see the Optima is definitely on the smaller end. The Esterbrook J is a small pen as well. But let's look at them uncapped. So uncapped, you can see the Aurora is almost the same length as the Conklin, much longer than the Esterbrook, and not too much smaller than the Narwhal. Still probably got about half an inch on there, but still a very good sized pen uncapped. Okay, and now for the writing sample. Here we have Aurora Optima Viola as an airplane flies overhead. Hope you enjoyed that. This is inked with, I believe, Diamine Monbato's hat. It's a lovely purple ink that I got about a week ago. And oh man, my computer is running hot. In terms of flow, I really don't know how wet this ink is, but this pen honestly seems to have pretty good flow. It's very easy, you know, like you can just drag along the pen, and it writes a perfectly good line. In terms of flexibility, not much to be had on Aurora Gold nibs, but they're probably a little more flexible than something like a Yovo steel nib, but they're not really meant for flex. Still, it's a tremendously pleasant writing experience. Jumps over the lazy dog. I lifted my pen off the paper there. The only question for you is it worth the price tag? Because this is definitely a pricey pen. Like, I got it on sale, but it's still really expensive. So I would say this is a much better writing experience in my opinion compared to most pens under it. And this is definitely one of my favorite pens in general. But also you gotta decide if it's worth it for you. Yeah, it's a very enjoyable pen, very pleasant. Hopefully my microphone is picking up the fun scratchy noises of a nib pretty well. But yeah, that's how this pen writes. Aurora Optima Viola. I think I summed it up in my intro the best when I said it's basically my personal pick for the best high-end pen as an entry into high-end pens. It's got everything you need without any of the frills that sometimes drive up the price of some of the more crazy expensive pens. So yeah, I hope that was of some use to you. I hope it was an enjoyable thing to watch. I hope the writing sample was picked up okay by my camera. It's my first time doing something like this, so of course there will be kinks to iron out, but I still hope that it was worthwhile to watch. So yeah, I would like to thank you very much for watching, and if you are so inclined, if you want to see more, go ahead and leave a like, let me know in the comments, and subscribe if you want to see more reviews like this in the future. So I would like to thank you very much for watching, and have a great day, and I will see you later.